He was born in March 1813 in Blantyre, Scotland. And yes, we had to look up that word to see how it was pronounced. David Livingstone grew up in a humble, hardworking family. He began working in a cotton mill at the age of 10, yet still managed to pursue education in his spare time.
So, from a young age, Livingston was determined to improve himself. He would balance books on the spinning jenny while working, reading every chance he got. His thirst for knowledge eventually led him to study medicine and theology at the University of Glasgow. And a video I had watched said that he worked like 12 hours, and that helped pay his way through school. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. I had forgotten what a spinning jenny was. But yeah, a wool. I forgot it was called a spinning jenny. But anyways, just in case you're wondering what a spinning jenny was,
Yeah.
spins wool. Anyways, in 1840, Livingstone joined the London Missionary Society and set sail for South Africa. Now, he did initially intend to go to China, but there were opium wars taking place there at the time, and it didn't allow him to go. China was pretty much closed. His initial mission was to spread Christianity, but his curiosity and compassion, and a guy that encouraged him to go to Africa, another missionary, Robert Moffat, encouraged him to go there as well for the African people, and went there to expand his mission far beyond that. And so pretty cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. I've always wondered, and maybe we can dive into what the London Missionary Society is, but that sounds like a really cool group to be a part of, like no matter if you're religious or not. They really nailed the name there, not gonna lie.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about the London Missionary Society. I would assume that it was just a kind of like today, if you have like a missionary group, a lot of people belong to it. That way they can get funds easier, and somebody there knows, how the mission field works. Looks like it was an interdenominational evangelical missionary group. So there was probably, a lot of different denominations, different people with different beliefs trying to be missionaries to different countries. Yeah, it just looks like your normal London Missionary Society.
Your standard missionary society.
Yeah, standard missionary society of the 1800s. Yep, just the run of the mill. I don't know. Probably should have done a little bit more research on that. But yeah, and there is a need for that. There's definitely a need for that if you deal in missions. It's nice to have a place where people can give to a cause, and it's getting there. And I assume they probably the people that funded these missionaries probably went through the London Missionary Society to do so, to help them succeed where they're at and send supplies and things like that. So
okay. Yeah. I mean, that sort of thing is still in existence today. So I mean, it's smart.
oh yeah.
But I was just commenting on the intricate name, or the shiny name. It's very unique. So, anyways, one of the most interesting facts about Livingstone is that he was one of the first Europeans to travel across the width of southern Africa. He was passionate about exploring unknown territories, mapping regions, and he, I guess we'll get into that a little bit, but he found some places and then named them. So
yeah, he named the what was it, a waterfall? I want to say his exploration of the and I'm probably going to mess up the name of this river, but the Zambezi River. led to one of his most famous discoveries, the Victoria Falls. Yeah, there it is, which he named in honor of, obviously, Queen Victoria. The local name is, I'm going to destroy this, Mosi O Tanya, which means the smoke that thunders, testament to its powerful presence, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The Victoria Falls, like I've heard that name thrown around a lot. So like it's cool to know that he was the one that actually, well, other people discovered it, but he discovered it and named it, as us Europeans and Westerners tend to do.
Yeah, which are beautiful. If you look them up on the internet, and you see the pictures, they are very majestic.
Mm,
It's breathtaking. So I don't know. I've never been to Victoria Falls. I've been to Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls was pretty cool, but Victoria Falls looks pretty freaking majestic. So
yeah, maybe in the future we'll share screens and walk through random places on these. But um, so I guess while he was, doing his mission work, he actually, I guess there was some slave trading happening, and so he did his best to fight against that. Um, I want to say it was an Arab slave trading, is what I had read. So, anyways, so he faced that, tried to fight back against that, faced a lot of illness, and then just really difficult terrain there. So,
yeah, the amount of slavery in the 1840s. Um, I believe I'm in the right timeline there, right? 1840s, 1850s.
yeah, well,
Maybe something
1870-ish, yeah.
sooner. 1870s, yeah, it was pretty rough time to live in,
Hmm.
especially if you were a slave. Yeah, that's rough. But was definitely if you stood up against it, you were definitely a lot of times probably standing on your own to a degree. But yeah, definitely made some headway into abolishing slavery. So, but his relentless efforts to abolish slavery and improve the lives of the African people are perhaps his most enduring legacy. Um, Despite facing numerous challenges, including illness and difficult terrain, Livingstone's commitment never wavered. And if you look at his commitment and what he went through, I might get some of the years off here, but if I'm not mistaken, he actually had his family go with him when he went to
Hmm.
Africa. I think it's the first or second time he went, not quite sure. If I'm not mistaken, I think he lost one of his children there to some type of disease and illness, which then encouraged him to send his family back to England. And that way they lived a little bit safer. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, a few years later, his wife then rejoined him, and then I think she passed from an illness as well, um, that she got while she was in Africa. Not an easy life, a tough life for sure, especially back then. Today, missionaries have it. I say they have it a whole lot easier. Depends on what country you're in. Um, but definitely a lot more easier things and technology that make the mission field a whole lot easier and safer.
Yeah, apparently she contracted malaria while on a visit with
Yeah,
him. So
I couldn't remember
that,
if it was his
yeah.
wife or his kid that attracted malaria, but yeah, which now we have, medicine and ways to combat that.
So, an interesting fact that many might not know is that Livingston lost contact with the outside world for 6 years during one of his expeditions. It wasn't until journalist Henry Morton Stanley found him in Ujiji, Tanzania in 1871 that the famous phrase, Dr. Livingston, I presume, was coined.
Which I have heard that phrase But I never knew actually where that came from. But that's a fun phrase. Dr. Livingstone, I presume. I always imagine it in an English accent too. You can't. you know.
Well, his name was Henry Morton Stanley, so yeah, probably.
Probably. Yeah, there you go. Unfortunately, Livingstone's health deteriorated during his later years. He suffered from malaria as well and dysentery, but continued his explorations and work. He passed away on May 1st, 1873, in Chief Chitambo's village at Ilala, near the southern end of Lake Bangula in Zambia. And I'm sure I pronounced all those words perfectly right. But yeah, rough, man, being a missionary was not all what it's cracked up to be sometimes in the books of all the exciting things you get to do. There's also a lot of things that you have to face and sacrifices you have to make.
I heard that, well, what I was taught in school was he passed away like on his knees praying. Then whatever I
Mhm.
listened to said that he just passed away with his hands on like his head in his hands, sort of thing. So possibly praying as well. I don't know. It's There's a lot of different perspectives, but yeah. So after he passed away, his body was carried over 1,000 miles by his loyal attendants to the coast, which I guess was a 9-month journey. The people in Africa,
Holy cow,
yeah,
that's
um,
crazy.
yeah. They apparently, so what they did was they removed his heart, buried it in Africa, and then embalmed his body, and his people that he had impacted, his followers, all that, carried his body back to the coast or to be shipped back to Britain. And that was like a 9-month procession. So David Livingstone was laid to rest in Westminster Abbey, a testament to the impact he had on both Africa and the world.
Hmm. I had no idea that they had. Did I hear you right? They removed his heart, and
Yeah.
wow, that's interesting.
Well,
I did
because his
not know
heart was
that.
with the African people was the
Right,
reasoning behind it. Yeah.
right. They weren't just like, let's keep his heart. No, I know there was a resemblance behind it. Yeah, no, but the reaction to Livingstone's death was profound. In Britain, he was celebrated as a national hero. His relentless pursuit of exploration and humanitarian work inspired many, and his writings and discoveries left a lasting impact on European understanding of Africa. And so, yeah, talk about a person having an impact on the world and having a purpose and giving meaning and value to life. Here you got him right here.
So in Africa, Livingstone was deeply respected by those who knew him. His commitment to abolishing the slave trade and his genuine care for the African people earned him great admiration. His long journey his attendants took to ensure his body reached the coast is a testament to the respect and love that they had for him. So, yeah.
Yeah, he had a gave a very powerful example of dedication to a cause greater than himself. Um, is obviously a lot of people know him more for his explorations um, in Africa to the world, but his efforts in anti-slavery made significant strides in the fight for human rights and against slavery. So awesome, awesome dude.
Yeah. Loved his story for sure.
Yeah. What was he, like 60, 63 when he passed, when he died? I think that's how old he was. Somewhere right in there. Oh, 60 years old. So, yeah, incredible journey. Well,
Accomplished a lot in his lifetime.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot.
I do wonder how long his school did take, though. I should have looked into the exact years, but like I wonder how long schooling took back then to be able to get a degree in medicine and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I'm looking at it right here. 2 years at medical college.
Really? Now I think it's
Yeah,
like 6, 4, 12 maybe?
depends on what you're doing, but
Yeah.
I think if you want to be a doctor, I think the minimum is 8 years in schooling.
And then for theology, he also got a degree in theology, or studied theology. So that nowadays is at least 4, which I don't know
Yeah,
if it needs
it's,
to be 4, but
that's definitely a discussion for another podcast. But yeah, 2 years is all that he took. And so just depends on how fast you learn. So
yeah, well, that and like knowledge, well, it's not as advanced.
yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah.
It's not as much
Yeah,
to
there wasn't as
study.
much. That is true.
Anyways, we'll catch you guys in the next one.